Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem. Welcome back to today's DAF, Bava Kamma, DAF Pei. We are holding 4 lines off the top of the Amid. Aimden Kamma Adam Hayitze Bazeh Reita Lito V'chulu. Back to the Mishnah, a person attacked another Yid. He has to pay up. He has to pay restitution to the tune of 5 separate payments. Nezek, actual damages, which reflects the victim's market value if he were to be sold as a slave. Next on the list is tsa'ar, pain, discomfort. How do we evaluate that? Says the Mishnah, we evaluate kama adam kayetze b'zeh reitza litel. How much would a person in this situation be willing to accept? How much payment would he be willing to accept to undergo this hardship? Says the Gemara, tsa'ar b'mokim nezek heichi shaminan. So how do we evaluate this type of payment? The pain payment, when there is nezek as well, when the person actually experienced physical damage, physical injury. So how do we sort of split the two? Nezek and then tsar. Amar Avodah Shmuel, it goes like this. So nezek, as we explained, is how much his value diminished, his market value would diminish due to this injury. Let's say, person without a hand, Rahman al-Islam, worth so much less, were he to be sold as a slave. So that's, the basic nezek payment. But tsar is how much would a person be willing to accept, how much payment would he take, liktoya lo yadai, to allow his hand to be removed. Asks the Gemara, hold it. Liktoya lo yadai. Is that your formula? How much would he accept for his hand? Well, if they're taking away his hand, it's not just tsar that he's going to be experiencing if they do that. You have all the other ones as well. His value, his loss of employment. So it's way more. It amounts to way more than just specifically, pain restitution. Another question. I was speaking about a fool. Who in his right mind is going to agree to have his hand removed? There's no price. There's no amount. There's no number that can satisfy a person. We're speaking about a person who already has a severed hand, but it's sort of like hanging on to him, but it's not functioning. It's already yodai ketur. How much would this person be willing to accept to have his hand removed? Says the Gemara, yodai haktur nami. Even in this case, lo yitzar l'chodei ikar. We aren't just speaking about pain and discomfort. In addition to tsar, there's embarrassment. It's degrading to him. To remove his flesh and throw it to the animal. It's not something that a person would be willing to do for just a small payoff. Ella, rather, the right formula is like this. How do we determine the value of tsar? Suppose the authorities have ruled that this person is meant to have his hand removed as a punishment. He's been condemned to have his hand removed. They could do it by one of 2 ways. Bein sam l'sayif, either by way of a sword, which is very painful, or perhaps he can pay them off to alter the method from sayif and do it painlessly with some sort of medicine, anesthesia. So how much would a person be willing to accept? And now it's going the other way. How much would he be willing to accept if it was meant to be done painlessly, bein sam l'sayif, to switch to something painful? right? The other way. It was meant to be done painlessly, and how much payment would he be willing to accept in order to agree to have it done painfully? So that's the value of the tsar. Asks the Gemara, well, if you're going this way, Amri, so the question was, Hachanami lo shakel umitzar nafshe. For anybody in the world, any amount won't suffice. A person will never be willing to submit himself to this type of pain. You can't peg it. You can't peg any number to it. Hella, rather, the correct formula is the other way around. How much would he be willing to pay, to give, to pay them off, to switch it from pain to painless? His hand is meant to be removed by the authorities, but he has the option of switching from painful to painless. Being saif by way of a sword, l'sam, to do it, with sam painlessly. That amount is the actual fear value of the tsar. That determines the value of the tsar. And likewise, in our case, if Reuben inflicted this type of pain on Shimon, this is the amount he pays for tsar, separate from the actual nezek damages. Asks the Gemara about the wording of the Mishnah. Hi, Litoil. Why does the Mishnah say, how much would a person be willing to accept? He's not accepting, he's paying them off. Litoil mi boile. Should say, pay. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, it means like this. Litoil zemizeh. We're speaking in our case, Reuben attacked Shimon, right? Caused him this damage. So Shimon is rightfully going to collect, Litoil zemizeh, he's going to collect from Reuben this amount, how much a person would theoretically be willing to pay off the government. Mashana sanzeh. Okay. So that's tsar. Next on the list is ripoy. Medication, doctor bills. So tzmachem is, something which sort of like a germ or bacteria, something that the makkah, the injury, the physical injury generates. Pussy, pimples, or something like that, right? So if these additional injury-related symptoms have sprouted forth, have surfaced, on account of the injury, because of that, the injury was sort of reopened and came back. So the perpetrator has to, is responsible for that as well. He has to go heal him completely. Not only does he have to heal him, he has to provide for the unemployment wages, loss of wages during the time of healing. That's only if the tzmachim were generated from the makkah. But shaloi machmas ha-makkah, if the infection is not injury related, later the Gemara will tell us, it's not directly related to the injury. So in this case, the attacker has no obligation. Nor does he have to give him the unemployment, the loss of wages. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, af machmas. So we have two cases: machmas hamaka, pay all; shaloi machmas hamaka, don't pay all. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, af machmas hamaka. Even in the first case, where the germs were wound related, chayav l'rapoisei ve'eino chayav liton loit me'shivtoi. Ripa he has to pay, but not sheves. Why? We'll see in a minute. This is the third shita, right? Bava Kamma says ripa and sheves. Rabbi Yehuda says ripa no sheves. Here comes the third shita. Shivtoi b'refu asay. The pasuk ties them together. Rag shivtoi yitain v'rapai rapai. Sheves and ripa, it goes together. All or nothing. Kol shachai b'sheves, chai b'ripa. Situation which warrants sheves payment, warrants ripa payment, but otherwise not. V'she'ein chai b'sheves, there's no sheves payment such as this case just mentioned. Ein chai b'ripa, likewise there's no ripa. Now, what are we speaking about when we relate to tzmachim that are machmas hamaka, wound related, which is a machlekes, pay, no pay, part pay. Obviously, we're not speaking about something which is, clearly wound, generated, but rather something which is sort of, peripheral, something, on the line. But Ma'ika Mifleki, what's the machlekes about? Amar Rab, Ashchsinu l'Rabbanan b'Beirav. I encountered the Chachamim of the Beis Medrash who was sitting and explaining the case. The Asvi Kamri, Hacha, b'maka nitna l'eged kamifli. Eged means bandage. Can he bandage up his wound? Which makes it, more comfortable. Protects it from the elements, from the cold, right? So the wounded fellow certainly wants to do that. However, now it's being contained, moist and sort of warm, which attracts germs and can actually make it worse. And that's what happened. So this fellow was trying to, make himself comfortable, but it was at the expense of the wound itself. That's the case, and that's what we're speaking about. So Rabbanos, that's the point of the machlekes. It is the fellow that afflicted, that actually made that wound happen, responsible for this additional remedial expense as well. Rabbanos Sabri, so Tue May holds, maka nitenas la'eged. The victim has full right to wrap his wound, can't hold it against him. And if it results in exacerbating the situation, the attacker has to pay. He doesn't have to, take into account the possibility that this might actually, apparently it's not, open and shut, that it would cause it, so he's allowed to do that, and the attacker is still responsible. Rabbi Yehuda Kessler, no, maka lo nitna la'eged. It's not fair to go wrap it and exacerbate the wound. So therefore, the attacker isn't fully responsible. Now, when it comes to ripui, when it comes to the medicine expense, the Tana Bekra, which the Torah repeats, says it twice, v'rapa yirape, enhancing, expanding his obligation with reference to ripui. So Machayiv, he's responsible. The Torah is indicating that he's responsible even in these cases as well. So he has to pay for the extra medicine. But Sheves, there's no repetition when it comes to Sheves payments. He doesn't have to pay that. So this was their explanation to Rabbah. He responded, I disagree with that explanation. Because if it's not fair, it's not common practice, it's not responsible for him to go and wrap his wound, Ripui namile mechayev. Don't hold the attacker responsible for that, even with respect to he shouldn't be paying anything. Ella, rather, the case must be as follows. The kuli, I'm all agree, makanit neleged. Wrapping your wound is, common practice. It is responsible to do that. But extra, tighter wrap, that's questionable. Not meant to do that. And keep the fresh air, the oxygen out of it. You meant to wrap it loosely, not tightly. And he wrapped it tightly. Okay? Rabbi Yehuda holds, since he's not meant to do that, ripui to Tana Bekra Mechayv. So the ripui, for which there's a repetition in the pasuk, he pays anyway. Again, apparently it's not like an outright, carelessness. It's not like he directly and consciously goes ahead and exacerbates his wound. But it could happen, and typically you're careful from wrapping it so tightly. He did it, so the attacker still has to pay for the ripui, but not for the sheves. Sheves, the loy tana bekrol mechayev, that the Torah does not repeat, and he doesn't have to pay. Rabbanan Sabri, and the Tue May holds you pay for both. Kiva on the Tana Bekra ripui. Since the Torah repeats the reference to ripui to include this case as well, Shav Sheves Nam Mechayev, Sheves you pay as well. The Iska Shel Ripui, because it's connected to ripui. If one is in, so is the other one. Rabbi Yehuda holds no. Sheves Lai Mechayev. He doesn't have to pay Sheves in this case. Demati Kra Rak, because it says Rak Shifta Yitain. In some cases you're exempt, such as in this case. V'Rabbanan, the Tue May disagrees. He says, well, Rak, that's not alluding to this case. That's pertaining to infection which is not at all wound related. But in this case, since it's somewhat related, he's to pay for that. So we've explained Tana Kamma, you pay Sheves and Ripui. Rabbi Yehuda only Ripui. Rabbanon Basroi, but the last sheet in the Brisa, the second Rabbanon, they hold the Amri Kol Shechai B'Sheves Chai B'Ripui, V'Chol She'Ein Chai B'Sheves Ein Chai B'Ripui. They go the other way, all or nothing. And in this case, it's not all, because you're not Chai for Sheves, so you pay nothing. If so, why the repetition in the pasuk? Ripui de Tana B'Kror Lamali. What's the point of repeating Ripui twice? For something else. Look at Tana B'Shmuel. Very interesting, Bryce. Listen to this. We learn from the pasuk V'Rapi Yirape that the Torah is allowing a doctor to get involved. Who says you're allowed to heal a wound? Who says you're allowed to offer medicine to a sick person? V'Rapi Yirape. Rashi says, V'le'amrinan. And the pasuk is teaching us not to say Rachmana Machei, Hashem struck him v'ihu masi, and the doctor's going to step in and interfere. Who said that's appropriate? And Tosfos adds that I would think, perhaps, because Tosfos has a kasha. Why do you need Rapi? Just say Rapi, heal him, right? You can heal him. Why the double lashon? So we're trying to address the repetition. How is this addressing repetition? Tosfos says because from Rapi itself, I would say maybe when it's a wound inflicted by a fellow human being, b'dei adam, so there you have a right to defend yourself, to heal yourself, to get yourself back on track. But let's say it was a illness, chas v'shalom, a sickness that triggered by b'dei shamayim, by heaven, not humanly triggered. So in that case, perhaps nira k'soisei gizeras hamelech, it looks perhaps like you're opposing Hashem's will, chas v'shalom. Kamashmal on the Shori says Tosfos, that's the point of a Rapi Yirapi, to address both situations. Healing a wound inflicted by a person, and healing an illness that came about min hashamayim. Tanu Rabban. So on this very same topic of germs or pus and bacteria that's wound related, menayin shim olo beitzmacham machmas hamaka v'nistra hamaka shechayev l'raposei v'chayev litin le'shifta. How do we know that these complications, which were wound and injury related, are still the responsibility of the inflictor, or the attacker? To include this case as well. Perhaps, even if it's not directly wound related, Rak says no, not in this case. Rabbi Yehuda af machmas hamaka potter. Even if it is maka related, he's potter. Shnema rak, to exclude this case. Ikadamri says some explained that Rabbi Yehuda totally exempted him from Ripui and Sheves, like the sheet of the Rabbanon before. Ikadamri af machmas hamaka potter legamri, totally exempt Rabbanon Masroi, like the third sheet before. Some say in this case he doesn't pay Sheves, but Ripui yes. Kiman, like whose shita? That's Rabbi Yehuda, right? Kavor, like his father. Rabbi Yehuda's father, Rabbi Yehuda. Amamar. So when it's machmas hamaka, we have this whole discussion. When shalei machmas hamaka, he's certainly pater. Amamar. Let's go back and review this very halach. Perhaps he has to offer restitution, even if it's not attack related. Yeah? No. Rak. He doesn't have to. Asks the Gemara, well, obviously, what does it have to do with him? We need a pasuk for that. Amri, the answer is like this. It's somewhat related, but somewhat not. What does this mean? As the Brisa says. So this fellow was struck, was injured. A doctor warned him, keep away from sugar, keep away from harmful foods, and he couldn't resist. So it's something that he would have engaged in otherwise, but now he shouldn't be doing it. He did it anyways. did not heed the doctor's warnings. He had his honey, his nash, because all these sweet things are harmful, not very beneficial to his situation. And what happened? Now he's suffering. And his wound generated this dead skin, gargusni. So perhaps the attacker is still responsible. Rak says no, this time he's exempt. Why would I think he, so the Rashba, the Mepharshim explain, because, he has a right, so to speak. Perhaps he can say, I had a right to have my candy, which I always do. Now I have to stop just because you hit me. So perhaps that's an argument. Right? Pasuk says no. Fact is, now you're in a different situation, you've got to take care of yourself, and you can't hold the other fellow responsible. My gargusni, what is this gargusni that we spoke about? Abaya nasa krichta, this is like sort of dead skin. My asusi, how do we heal it and remove it? Ahala v'kira v'kalba, ahala is some sort of agent. Halmi says Rashi, kira is wax, kalba, some sort of leads, residue that we find in the bottom of the barrels, the wine barrel. Okay, now comes an interesting discussion. Let's say the fellow who attacked, who inflicted this wound, says, look, doctor bills? I'm a doctor, I'll take care of you. Let's say the attacker says, I'll be your doctor. Amalei, he says, no way, get away. To me, you look like, I perceive you like a crouching lion, ready to attack. So basically, I don't trust you. Let's say the attacker says, look, I have a friend, who will offer his medical services for free. The Mogain who protects, who offers services, but Mogain for free of charge. I don't want to pay doctor fees, I have a free doctor. So can he insist on? No. He says, no, it's not worth anything. Ask the Mogain, a person who offers medical service for free, you know what? You know how much he's worth? Mogain Shavi. He's worth nothing. Because he has no reputation to uphold. He's no incentive to do a good job. Okay, next proposal. Let's say he says, fine, but my I have a friend, a relative living in the next town. He'll come by and he'll help you out. Can he insist on using that cheap doctor? Amalei says no. People say, these are all like sort of phrases, common phrases. He says, you know what people say? A doctor who lives far away, Eina Aviro, blind an eye. Basically, he's not a local, he has no clientele to impress, no practice to protect. Now, let's say the victim, on the other side, now the victim says, look, instead of you paying the doctor, the doctor's fee is XYZ, give it to me, I'll take care of myself. So pay me the money and I'll heal myself. So the attacker says no. I'm concerned that you're not going to take care of yourself. You'll take my money, you'll run. You won't heal yourself. And then you're going to come back and complain and get more money. Okay, that doesn't work. What about the next request? Let's say the victim says, you're concerned about overpaying? Okay, let's establish a set amount, a fair amount. What's the typical fee for this situation? I'll take the money, I'll take care of it. The fellow says no. Certainly in this case, you'll take the money and you won't take care of yourself. So you're going to take the money, you're going to spend it on lottery tickets, and you're not going to heal yourself. And you're not going to come back for more because you can't, because that was the agreement. And people attribute blame to me. They'll say, I'm a Sher HaMazik, a wild beast. So, go to the doctor, send me the bill, I'll take care of it. Tana, we learned in a Brayso. V'kulan mishtalmen b'mokim nezek. All these extra payments, Sar, Ripuy, Sheves, these are in addition to the nezek payment, which is reflective of his diminished market value. How do we know this is true? Amar Zid Mishre Rava. Amar Kro Petza Tachas Petza, which is an extra pasuk, Lite in Tsar Mokim Nezek, to inform us that the Tsar payment is in addition to the Nezek, and of course the same with the other things. Asks the Gemara, well, that pasuk is needed for something else and unavailable for this. To tell you that just like if he's mazed, if he attacked him intentionally, he is chayiv. The same thing with unintentional. Just like if he did it willingly, same thing was done by accident, or you're forced to do it, you're still responsible. And that's learned from Petza Tachas Petza in all situations. If that's all the pasuk is teaching us, the pasuk would say Petza bePetza, wound for a wound. You have to compensate for anything you do. My Petza Tachas Petza. What's the added lashon? Shemam Notati to add second point as well, that all these payments are on top of nezek. Says the Gemara. Rav Papa Mishmei the Rabba Amar Amar Kra. We have another pasuk to tell you that these are additional payments. V'rapoi yir rapi. What's the duplication about? Litin refuah b'makam nezek. That refuah comes even when he already pays the nezek. These are additional payments. Asks the Gemara, but one second, hold it. That pasuk has already been applied for something earlier on the DAF. Hami b'ilei look at the Tanat Rabbi Shmuel, right, to tell you that a doctor has permission. Hashem allows doctors to practice. The Tanat Rabbi Shmuel, right? Rabbi teaches us mekan shenitna rushos l'refa l'rapis. We learn from here that a doctor has permission to offer his services. Im kein nichtav kra v'roife yirapi. If it's only for that, it would say v'roife yirapi. The doctor heals. Why v'rapa yirapi? Right? Why this interesting expression v'rapa yirapi? Shmamina to teach us the additional point. Litin refuah b'makim nezek. That refuah comes in addition to nezek payments. V'akati, riboy look at the Ramaran. Limisni beikra b'riboy. But we still need this extra expression because we had it for something else before. In the case where there was some sort of semi-wound related complications for which the attacker still has to pay, right? That was from the repetition, and so that's all learned from this pasuk. It's unavailable for this. Imkain, says the Gemara, if it's only coming for that, and to teach us that the doctor has permission, Leimakra, the pasuk would say, Oy rapi, Oy yirapi, right? It would say it sort of in matching language. It would say rapi twice, or yirapi twice. Why sort of that switch in expression? My v'rapi yirapi, shmamino, to tell you, litin refuah b'makam nezek, that refuah payment comes on top of nezek. Three things you learn from this pasuk. Doctor has permission. The fellow is responsible even for complications, and refuah comes in addition to nezek. Continues the Gemara. Michlal de mishkachas lehu shlei b'makim nezek. So the fact that the Brisa informs us that the tsar, etc., will also apply even when there's nezek. That indicates that at times there's a possibility to have, let's say, tsar without nezek. Now, how's that possible? Right? How could you have, refuah without nezek, or tsar, or sheves? The Gemara will explain for us. Tsar. How do you have tsar? Right? Without nezek. So the Gemara like this. Tsar. Let's go down the list. Tsar, as the Mishnah says, very simple. How do you have a tsar without a nezek? Kavay b'shvur, b'masmer, he took a hot rod or a nail, and hurt him on his fingernail, which doesn't necessarily inflict a physical wound, but it's hurtful. Mokim she'enu sechabur. Okay, there you go. What about ripui? Healing expenses without a wound. What happened was like this. He had some sort of ailment. His skin was hurting. V'salik v'aisile samacharif. V'salik, and what happened was that, or he had some sort of wound, okay, a cut. V'salik, and it went away, it healed. V'aisile samacharifa, and this fellow over here, this irresponsible fellow, brought him some sort of very strong, acid, some sort of thing, allegedly to help him heal his thing, right? And it bleached his skin. So now the wound is gone, but there's a mark on his skin which he has to remove. He wants to sort of restore it to natural skin's color. The tzarech Sama lankute gavna lebisra. He has to put sama on the, some sort of medicine. Lankute gavna lebisra, to restore the gavna, the color of his flesh. So we have ripui even without an actual wound. And finally, how do we have sheves? Loss of wages without a wound, without injury. Tahatke bedruna. So locked him up in a room. Ubatle, thereby holding him back from work. And boishas, you have directly ba'ape, spit in his face. So he didn't actually hurt him, but he embarrassed him. So you can have all these types of payments separate from nezek. Okay, so we discussed nezek, tsar, ripui, shevet. What about sheves? He pays him as though he was a vegetable, watchman. What does that mean? Tanarabban. Sheves royin oisay kilu shemer kishun. $5 an hour to watch the garden. That's what he pays him, for the week that he couldn't work because of this attack. Asks the Gemara, that's not fair. This fellow was a professional. He earned $50 an hour. Why are you getting away with just plain, minimum wage? So, if you'll ask, Loksam is Hadin. The Midas Hadin is now suffering. Basically, it's not fair. It's not just. Because as soon as this person heals, Lav agro de shema kishuim, who's shakal? He's not ready to take minimum wage. Elo dalid lavlo v'shakal agro. He's a water drawer carrier. He makes a lot of money. Inami or azal b'shliach. So that's the case where he was missing his hand. So let's say he would get his hand back. He would draw water and make more than just minimum wage. Inami, or in the case where he injured his foot, as soon as he heals and recovers, azal b'shliach. He's a messenger. He's a courier. V'shakal agro. And he makes a lot of money. So why are you only paying him, $5 an hour, which is minimum wage? Answers the Gemara, no. You see, midas hadin like loksa. There's no midas hadin suffering. It's very fair, very just. This is an additional payment. This is a supplemental payment to the actual, payment that he already gives him. Shekvar no sunlight miragli. Realize he already paid him for his hand and his foot per se. Right? That's nezek. A person without a functioning hand, boom, he's down $100,000 if he was to be sold as a slave, because he can't, if he's not a fully functioning slave. That already pays him outright. This is an additional layer of payment, because even a person with a non-functioning hand can still be a vegetable watchman, and even that he can't do during this week when he's lying in the hospital. So this is an additional layer of payment, which constitutes sheves. Amarava, kotas yadai. Let's say he removed his hand. Noisin leidmei yadai. V'sheves. So he pays him the value of his hand, like we explained, plus the sheves during, the time that he's recovering, when he can't do anything. Roy and Isai Kilu, right? Shemesh Kishun, we view him as though he would be a vegetable guard. Shibes Ragli, likewise, if he hurt his foot, right? He broke his foot. Nice light made Ragli, so he pays for the foot. And then regarding the unemployment, Visheves, so he would theoretically would not be able to guard any gardens, right? If he has no functioning foot, but he can, he can sit at a door and be on guard sitting there. Regarding Visheves, Roy nice kilu shemes haPesach, as though he's a shemer at the door, a different type of job. And since during this week he's totally out of it, so you have to pay him that wage for this week. Let's say he blinded him. He pays him for the eye. Visheves. How do we determine sheves? Which wages could he have earned even without an eye? As though he's put to work as a mill grinder, which he can still do when he's blind. So he pays him until he's back on his feet. Let's say he made him deaf. He pays him his full value. Rashi says, Ein ro'i l'klum. He's useless. He can't. He's a non-functioning entity. If he can't hear it. So, theoretically, how much would a person buy this fellow as a slave? How much would a person pay for him? $1 million, that's what he pays him. And now, it's done. There's no adding sheves, because, as Rashi says, it's like he paid the full value of the person. Done. From A to Z. So it's a one payout. That's it. Boi Rava. Here comes an interesting question. Let's say this happened, phase by phase, incrementally. Kiteya siyadai. V'lo yamdu. Reuven attacked Shimon's hand, but they didn't get to the point of appraising it. It never determined value. And he proceeded. Shibiris ragli, broke his foot. V'lo yamdu. There was no appraisal done. Simias einoi. Then he proceeded to his eye. V'lo yamdu, and there was no aimid. And ultimately, chirshai, he made him deaf. Which now triggers a full payment. Mahu, what is halacha here? Miyamrin, and shall we say, Kivan de lo yamdu, since Bezdin never really finalized, these payments, b'chad umdano sagi leviyav leid mekule. So he just gets away with one full payment, $1 million, and he's done. Badi adadi, all as one package. Or you can say, no, he'll pay more than that. We sort of split the payments. Chada amdinan v'yavinale. We go back in time and we split each episode from the other one, and each one elicits its own separate restitution. Now, what's an afkamina? What's the difference which way you go? Ultimately, he's paying, right? So the Gemara explains like this: that you're right. Regarding nezek, it doesn't really matter because he's giving him a full $1 million. That covers the whole person. Regarding ripui, okay, also the same point. Because he's paying him for the full eved. Rashi says it's as if he bought him as an eved, like he owns him. He doesn't have to, No, sorry. Regarding ripu, Rashi says it's not relevant because he never took any medicine. There were no medical expenses. Period. So there's no question of. It doesn't add anything. Whichever way you go, bottom line is he has to be healed. So it doesn't matter which way you estimate, which way you evaluate it. Okay, that's done. And regarding Sheves, right, unemployment, that's not relevant. In Rashi's words, the kol mashahaya shave mitchila, he gave him his full value. Variu avda. It's like he bought a slave. When he only gives him sort of a partial payout, so he has to pay for that and how much he would earn here. But he's giving a full payout, a full value, $1 million covers everything. So there's no question regarding nezek, ripi, and sheves. It doesn't really matter how we, treat this case. But the nafkamin is regarding tsar and boishes. Yeah, that makes an nafkamin. The boy lemesile tsar and boishes kol chada v'chada. Pain, embarrassment. There, we'll have a big nafkamin. And the Gemara explains. Because regarding the other payment, doesn't matter which way you go. Need the nezek, ripi, v'sheves, the kol chada v'chada. We don't give them separate payouts for each episode. We don't give that to him. Why? The kiv and the kayav leid meikule. Come on, the kalei dami. V'yav leid meikule. Because once we obligate, the full payout, the full, $1 million, it's as though, imagine he would have killed him, right? And he pays in full. It's a full value payout. That's it. It's done. Covers everything, right? But saru boishes, the pain, the embarrassment. Mias, still, the kol chada v'chada yoyev. Perhaps over here, regarding these things, each attack triggers a separate obligation, separate payout. Why? The havalit tsaro boishes, because the fact is, each episode generated its own tsar, its own boish. It's separate from the next episode, and ultimately, if you view them as separate incidents, you're gonna end up paying more. It's just the way it is. It's like sort of, he's going to pay retail instead of one big, wholesale fee. That's one way to look at it. Separate payouts, which total a larger amount. Imtim Telaima. On the other hand, if he'll say, Kivan delayam do, Kiyavlet mekule, since ultimately Bezdin did not get involved in between, so there was no, we didn't begin the evaluation process and, restitution process, so we don't have to separate them. We can do it like one big package. Kiyavlet mekule ba'dadadis, he does one big payout as one. If that's the case, but what about a case as follows? Let's say Bezdin did get involved and did make the appraisal and did sort of trigger that did obligate him to pay. So they activated this sort of payment process, but he didn't actually pay it. Shall we say that's good enough reason to generate separate payouts, one per incident. Once they evaluated and they estimated and they pegged a number value to it, must separate them and pay them separately. Or but since ultimately he didn't pay it out yet, so now you can sort of lump it together as one large payout, which ends up benefiting him. Which way to go? Take it, we leave it unresolved. So the bottom line is like this: Chayav b'chaveres, chayav nezek, and tsar, and ripoy, and sheves, and boishes. Tsar, well, that's how much a person would be willing to pay out to avoid this pain. Ripoy, the doctor bills. We explained what happens when there are sort of wound-related complications. Up to what point is he responsible? Rapi teaches us, amongst other things, that the Reife has a reshus to actually engage in healing people. So that's the nezek, that's the tzad, that's the ripui, the sheves. As we explained, that's the wages that he would have earned if he would have been in capacity, if he would have been able to actually function. And that's aside from the big payout for his general loss of value. And then we had an interesting shaila from Rava, whether we lump it up together or we separate them. That's in a case where there was a multiple attack. All the best to you, and Atzlacha Rabbah.